Welcome back. After more than 3 decades, finally there is a ray of hope for the family of Satish Tickoo. He was brutally murdered outside his own house by a man whom he called a friend. We're talking about Farooq Ahmed Dar, alias Bitta Karate, the man who has come to be known as the butcher of Hindus, the man who even confessed to his crime on camera, innocently saying that I may have killed about 20 to 30 Kashmiri Hindus. Despite that, he is yet to be punished. In fact, he was let out on bail unchallenged by the state government in 2006. Today, finally the murder trial has resumed in the Srinagar Sessions Court, but even now, his lawyer continues to intimidate victims and disrupt the process of justice. In fact, today inside court, the terrorist lawyer heckled the victim's lawyer and tried to waylay the trial. Here's what actually happened. Bitta Karate's lawyer said that Tickoo was killed in 1990, and after 32 years, the family is still waiting for justice, that they are unaware of investigation, and the charge sheet has not been filed. The judge said it's a very serious matter, and that is when Bitta Karate's lawyer requested the court to mark his presence in the case. However, the court said that the man is not a party in the case at all, and that is when the victim's lawyer sought that a status report be given in the entire case. As this happened, there was an altercation between the two sides. The terrorist lawyer lunged at Tickoo's family's lawyer, after which he was reprimanded by the court. But where does this case go from here? What exactly is the significance of the hearing that is taking place now after 30 years? We, in fact, are joined by the lawyer of the family, Utsav Bains, is live with us. Thank you very much, Utsav, for joining us on Times Now. It's taken 32 years. Do you think that finally there is going to be a judgment anytime soon?
Yes, a pleasure to be on Times Now as well, and thank you Times Now for rigorously campaigning for justice for the cause of Kashmiri Pandits. They have been denied justice for the last 3 decades, more than 3 decades actually. Satish Tickoo was murdered in cold blood. The family was terrorized, not by Mr. Bitta Karate. The interesting point is that the family was terrorized by the state machinery to, go out of Kashmir, be part of that exodus, that massive exodus that took place. They were terrorized, they were threatened, they are so scared still. It took almost 6 months to 1 year for me and Kashmiri Pandit rights activist Mr. Vikas Raina ji and Pratibha Kaul ji to convince the family, take them into confidence, be their emotional support, try to counsel them that we really have this one tight case where actually we can ensure conviction of Mr. Bitta Karate. So finally it has taken almost 2-3 years for us. We've been silently fighting this battle for justice, and very grateful for the Honorable Court to take cognizance and to take it very seriously, and for the short hearing dates. It is really a ray of hope now for all of us that with the short adjournments that are taking place, we will be getting to something very concrete in the next 1 or 2 months.
All right, 1 or 2 months you say, but when you're talking about the family being terrorized, can you please elaborate on that? That over the last 3 decades, the family has been under pressure.
What the family, specifically what a lot of Kashmiri Pandit families, when they contacted me and they told me, during the 90s, it was, why I compare it with when Nazis were in power in Germany. Because Nazis were not guerrilla, Al-Qaeda or ISIS. Nazis was the German government, the German state. And in a design, they committed a genocide of the Jews. In the similar fashion, the then Kashmiri government, the people then in power, ethically committed horrifying abuses, gave impunity to people who murdered the minority there, the Kashmiri Pandits, gave them state protection, gave them state patronage. Now I'm saying the state policy of the Nazis in Germany was to murder Jews. The same way in the 90s, the state policy became to organize this mass exodus of the Kashmiri Pandit community, and interestingly give patronage to anyone who goes and kills them.
Okay.
For example, in Mr. Bitta Karate's case, why I was really horrified, when I read the file, I was completely in shock. I could not digest. It made me feel sick in my stomach as to, can we really do this to our people? Can we really do this to our Kashmiri Pandit brothers and sisters who have been denied justice for the last 31 years? And Mr. Bitta Karate had state impunity, he was a state guest, he had the immunity of a president of India. I have never in my life of the last decade spending in various courts in India seen any criminal trial as serious as 302 murder under the IPC be kept pending, or we don't know what has happened with this case. It is bizarre, it is astonishing, it is difficult to digest. It just makes one go to the Germany under the Nazis. This
You're
is
right.
exactly
So basically, it's over 30 years that
I'm very thankful to Mr. Agnihotri for
that this case was kept
really
hanging like this. But very quickly, let me also read out what Judge N.D. Vani said when he said that crimes carry punishment of death sentence, but the prosecution showed total disinterest. Is that the reason for the delay?
Yes, indeed. This order of the Honorable Justice is part of our application. We've in a sense drafted this application. It has taken a lot of months, but we have showed a systematic design in which Mr. Bitta Karate was a state guest, had immunity like the President of India has. It is unimaginable. I mean, I mean, as an Indian, I feel sick in my stomach as to, can we really do this to our fellow Indians? Can we do this with anyone? It is something that we all should be ashamed of. I mean, the idea of India is not about denying justice to any community. The idea of India is about, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, from Northeast to Gujarat, everyone must get justice. Everyone must have a sense of being an Indian, and the Constitution must, in a sense, give justice, ensure justice to every Indian. And the way Kashmiri Pandits have been denied justice, I mean, so similar to the 84s.
Absolutely.
So similar to the 84s, similar facts, similar circumstances. And Sajjan Kumar was finally tried, prosecuted by the SIT, and he was jailed.
And
now
finally, for this case to get off the rails, it has taken so long. It is indeed shocking, like you said, and shameful also for us as a country. Thanks very much, Utsav Bains, for having joined us. Let me quickly take this across to Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP, along with activist Lalit Ambardar, Sajad Tarik, leader of the Congress, Sanam Shah, also leader of the Congress and political analyst, and Syyed Fasal Kashani, spokesperson of the JKAP. 30 years, and this trial of a murderer was deliberately stopped and delayed. Syyed Fasal Kashani, are you ashamed?
Well, it is shocking that it took a big movie to wake the conscience of our Prime Minister to start investigation. Secondly, what we should focus more on is the rehabilitation of Pandits back in Valley. What Bitta Karate has done, he will be served punishment for the same, but at the same time,
what has he served? Excuse me, no, just a second. What has Bitta Karate served? He killed. He's confessed to killing 30 people.
I said he will be served punishment.
When will he be served punishment, sir? Such is the state of our country that the man has just been kept pending for 30 years. This case has been kept hanging for 30 years. When it's actually this man who should be hanging.
You should ask this question to BJP. They were in power in the state with PDP. What did they do in this case? After 2014, they were in power.
Sanju Verma, why was this case kept pending for so long? When it should have been fast-tracked. He should have been hanging already.
BJP has politicized Pandit issues from the day one, and they are still doing the same.
Okay, why isn't Bitta Karate punished just as yet? Why did it take so long? Sanju Verma.
May I please respond? Thank you. First and foremost, I am absolutely thrilled that the BJP is held to such high standards of accountability. I do admit, as Arvind Kejriwal recently said, पिछले 13 साल तो बीजेपी की सरकार थी, क्योंकि 13 साल बीजेपी की सरकार थी और क्योंकि अब नरेंद्र मोदी की सरकार है, Padmaja Joshi, the other panelists, and Sanju Verma are sitting here and discussing about the Kashmiri genocide. It is because Narendra Modi ki sarkar hai, we are talking about eventually giving capital punishment to Bitta Karate. यदि आज कांग्रेस की सरकार होती, खुदा ना खास्ता आम आदमी की पार्टी की सरकार होती, Bitta Karate would be scot free. Don't forget, let me finish. Padmaja, this man, Bitta Karate, was arrested in 1990. He was then released. Again, he was arrested in 2006, 2008, he was released. Finally, in 2019, NIA slapped irrevocable charges of terror funding against him and not simply charges of killing 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 people as he claimed. Bitta Karate is on record saying, शायद मैंने 10-20 लोगों को मारा, शायद पिस्टल का इस्तेमाल किया, पता नहीं, शायद 30-40 लोगों को मारा, शायद AK-47 का इस्तेमाल किया. So look at the blatant impunity. All I'm saying is one thing. You know, you keep hanging the BJP for alliance with the PDP.
सनम शाह जवाब देना चाहते हैं इस पे.
But he also broke the alliance.
सनम शाह जवाब देना चाहते हैं.
जी, मैं जवाब देना चाहता हूं. पहले तो मैं कहना चाहता हूं, नीच जब बुलंदी पर जाता है वो अपनी औकात खो देता है. ये कमबख्त वो गवारा है जो चंद ही फूकों में फूल जाता है. संजू जी, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूं, आपने कहा 1990 में, मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं मेरा डेट ऑफ बर्थ 2-3-1992 है, और हकीकत रियलिटी क्या है खुदा, मैं आपसे हाथ जोड़ता हूं, मत बांटो हमें, मत हमें हिंदू मुसलमान के फसाद में बताओ. आगे हम लोग चूरत हुए हैं, आगे हम लोग हुए हैं, हमें और मत तोड़ो.
No, hold on a second, Sanam Shah. Why are you being dramatic? This is nothing about you. It is about hanging a man and trying a man who is a self-confessed murderer. इसमें कुछ हिंदू मुसलमान की बात नहीं है. वो आदमी आतंकवादी है, वो आदमी कातिल है. उसमें इतना ड्रामा करने की क्या जरूरत है?
मैडम, डीएसपी जगविंदर सिंह आपने उसको
Drama this man is doing.
संजू वर्मा से
अपनी ड्रामेबाजी बंद करो.
आपने उसको राष्ट्रपति नारे दिया, आपने उसको पद्म भूषण दिया. एक डीएसपी जो 4 आतंकवादियों को बताकर दिल्ली में लेके जा रहा है, भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने हुकूमत में उसको फेल से क्यों?
नहीं, हम इधर उधर की बातें नहीं करेंगे. आई थिंक आपकी आवाज साफ नहीं है. बट डीएसपी दविंदर सिंह की आप बात कर रहे हैं. बाय द वे, वो अभी भी जेल में, उसके ऊपर बहुत सीरियस एंटी टेरर चार्जेस लगे हुए हैं. आई डोंट नो व्हाट यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, व्हाट यू आर गोइंग ऑन एंड ऑन अबाउट. यू स्टार्टेड विद हिंदू मुस्लिम, देन यू वेंट टू मत करो हमारे साथ ऐसा. दिस गॉट नथिंग टू डू विद एनी ऑफ दैट. इट्स सिंपल. द मैन इज अ मर्डरर, ही शुड हैंग. ललित अंबरदार, who is responsible for the delay? One, and do you agree when Sanju Verma says that it's thanks to the BJP that the trial has even begun now? Lalit Ambardar.
Padmaja, give me some time. I want to give a perspective.
Yes.
You know, when you deny genocide, you allow it to replicate. That is the history in the contemporary sense. We did not acknowledge what happened in 1920s in Mopla, Hindu massacre. Even Annie Besant had to rebuke literally Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi that he had almost condoned the bloody massacre of Hindus in Kerala, Malabar. And then you saw what happened in 1946, direct action from Jinnahs, Razakars in Bengal. For weeks, Hindu dead bodies were being eaten by animals in the streets of Bengal. We ignored that also. Then came 1947, massacre. Pakistan was built over dead bodies. Hindus and Sikhs were massacred in Pakistan. And then who survived? Who could not make it to this country, back to their homeland, the mainland? Nehru and Congress abandoned them to the mercy of Pakistani jihadists, knowing Pakistan was created solely and solely for Muslims. And then also knowing the Hindu and Sikh women were made to dance on the beat of dhol, drum, in the streets of Lahore. That is why Kashmiri Hindu genocide
Just a second,
repeated.
please.
Again, there was a denial. Can I speak, ma'am?
Yes, please go on. Lalit Ambardar.
So that is how genocide of Kashmiri Hindu gets repeated. And that one of the important aspects of genocide, it's not just only extermination using tools as murder, mass murder, rape, gang rape. It's not only that extermination. It's also to kill the will to resist in the people who survive. These Kashmiri jihadists thought that we'll get lost, the survivors will get lost in the lanes and by lanes of the rest of India. We defied that aspect of genocide, gave a stiff resistance, held Kashmir, the flame of Kashmir alive for all these 22 years.
No, it is not about Kashmiri, sir. Just a second. Again,
Mr.
Kashani, it is about murderers. This is not about stereotyping any one community. It is about the people who were murderers, and what is the secret about those who killed Hindus? They are obviously jihadists. No.
Yes, they were killed in the name of Islam. Where is the hesitation? When you shout from the mosque, Padmaja, can I give the background?
Yes, Lalit Ambadar, I want to ask you more specifically when we are talking about the case of Bitta Karate, what took so long, and do you agree with Sanju Verma's contention that it's because of her party that the case has even gone to trial now? Specifically about Bitta Karate.
Can I intervene? Can I respond to it?
There is no denying till 2019, every successive government in Srinagar as well as center in Delhi, they try to cover up. They try to even secularize the Kashmir jihad. They were ready to compromise on Kashmir. They were ready to succumb to Pakistani pressure on Kashmir, to Hurriyat in Kashmir, to Abdullahs and Muftis. But 2019 changed the same whole story, and that's what I asked Sanju Verma, through Sanju Verma, the government of India, please acknowledge formally what Kashmiri Hindus suffered was genocide.
Okay. Sajad Tarik doesn't agree with you. Sajad Tarik doesn't agree with you when you talk about the impact and the trial of Bitta Karate. Sajad Tarik.
I'll just take 2 minutes, and I'll hope that all of you will listen to me patiently. I'll just take 2 minutes. You see, as far as the case of Bitta Karate is concerned, in 1990, these BJP people, they say that we are opening it after 31 years. There was no popular state government, and at that time, governor was there in the state, and the center government was headed in the center with their coalition. One thing. Second thing is this, what I feel is, I go with the lawyer's word. जो हमारे पास प्रोग्राम शुरू होने से पहले लॉयर आए थे, he said from Kashmir to Kanyakumari जितने भी victims हैं, जो भी हैं, we are not discussing about Hindus, Muslims or Sikh Isais, but why it is not like that 2002 Godhra Kand people are not being discussed? Where are those criminals?
May I please?
Why we are not discussing them?
They are being discussed, sir. Most of them are in jail. Most of them are in jail.
See, what about it?
What is this? What about it? What is this? What about it?
One side propaganda. You are showing the one side.
Are you saying that Bitta Karate and talking about him is propaganda? What is there to be propagated about Bitta Karate? The man himself, Farooq Ahmad Dar, himself admitted that he's a murderer. Unless you are calling Farooq Ahmad Dar a propagandist, he's a self-confessed murderer, sir.
You were there as a part of their rehabilitation also.
Just a second. Lalit Ambadar wants to quickly respond to that, and then Sanju Verma. Yes.
Can I respond?
Yes, come in. Lalit Ambadar, respond.
Can I speak now? Now listen. Let me remind them. Genocide is not a one-day process. When Justice Ganju was killed, who was the Chief Minister of Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh? It was Farooq Abdullah. Who was the Prime Minister of India at that time? Rajiv Gandhi. When Tikalal Tepalu, the tallest Kashmiri Hindu, the nationalist in Kashmir, was assassinated, who was the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir? It was Farooq Abdullah. Who was the in India, it was Rajiv Gandhi. It's a continuation of the process that began with when 370 and 53 were accorded to Abdullahs and created a Islamo-fascistic ecosystem in Kashmir. एक छोटा मोटा पाकिस्तान बना के दिया था वहाँ पे, and Kashmiri Hindus have been the worst victims of it. How do you explain when the mosques of Kashmir reverberated with the slogans?
Okay.
कश्मीर के मुसलमानों हिंदुस्तान से आजादी का मतलब अल जिहाद अल जिहाद.
Sanju Verma.
में रहना होगा, अल्लाह अकबर कहना होगा.
You could have done this earlier. It's not like you have not been in government earlier.
When Bitta Karate was leaving, Farooq, Ghulam Nabi Azad was the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Padmaja.
Okay.
Ghulam Nabi Azad was the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, and the observation of the judge was that public prosecutor did not pursue the case.
Okay,
and
so just a second. Before you come in, Sanju Verma, Sanam Shah should respond to that. Ghulam Nabi Azad needs to answer today.
He was accorded a public reception, ma'am.
When Bitta Karate got bail, Ghulam Nabi Azad was Chief Minister, and the judge remarked that public prosecutor had no interest in following the case. Why, Sanam Shah?
And also this Farooq Ahmed Dar was given a public reception. Padmaja, when he returned to his home, he was accorded the reception of a Ghazi.
May I please?
आपने कहा कि गुलाम नबी आजाद का चीफ मिनिस्टर थे, आपने जो गुलाम नबी आजाद किया, किस तरीके से गुलाम नबी आजाद का कश्मीरी पलटू के पास जाके रो रहे। मैडम, आप हमारे दर्द को समझे। मैं इस जम्मू कश्मीर के अंदर बैठा हुआ हूँ, आज कमल शाह की लाशों के ऊपर, एक कश्मीरी पंडित की लाशों के ऊपर ये हुकूमत बेकार।
अरे सर, मुद्दे पे आइए ना, आप भाषण क्यों दे रहे हैं? मुद्दे पे आइए कि जब उसको बेल मिली, जब वो जेल के बाहर आया, तो आपकी सरकार थी जम्मू कश्मीर में, आपने उस वक्त कुछ क्यों नहीं किया? प्रोसिक्यूटर ने ट्राई तक नहीं किया, जज को बोलना पड़ा कि लग रहा है कि सरकार को तो इसमें दिलचस्पी ही नहीं है, इस केस में दिलचस्पी ही नहीं है सरकार को।
दिलचस्पी नहीं है। अरे 70 साल लग गए थे हमें देश बनाते बनाते, चंद ही सालों में अगर आज तुमने देश को तबाह और बर्बाद किया है, तुम्हारे कहने से कांग्रेस पार्टी को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। ना गुलाम नबी आजाद को मानता, आपने देश को बनाया है, तुमने देश को जाना है।
आप गुलाम नबी आजाद के अलावा हर किसी और चीज पर बात करेंगे। संजू वर्मा
प्लीज। Padmaja, thank you. You know, I am not tired in responding to this question. I will respond it again and again and again. And for the umpteenth time, are we going to ensure rehabilitation of Kashmiri Pandits? Yes. Does more need to be done to rehabilitate them apart from abrogating Article 370?
Nothing
Yes.
has been done.
Is it true that more than 4 lakh
by abrogating Article 370, how you are able to rehabilitate? What is their concern with 370?
Yes. Is it true that more than 3 lakh Kashmiris have got domicile certificates today? Yes. Is it true that today Valmiki can aspire to be a part of the Kashmir Assembly as elections are held? Yes. Have terror incidents come down by 67% in the last 5 to 6 years? Yes. Have stone pelting come down by 89%?
Okay.
Yes.
All of that is great, Sanju Verma, but the most specific, just a second, the most specific question being asked to you today by the Congress, which did nothing when Bitta Karate came out on bail, is that when you formed the government in national interest in Jammu and Kashmir, why did you not start the proceedings? Why was this case kept hanging?
Because at that
You know,
time,
Padmaja, we have been debating, and especially times now, which has been at the forefront of the Kashmir genocide debate. We all know that when years and decades elapse, it is even more difficult to ensure that justice is delivered. I'm not making an excuse. You know, Congress sitting here and giving a bhashan to the BJP, what was Yasin Malik doing? Mollycoddling and embracing जादू की झप्पी दे रहे थे मनमोहन सिंह को 2006 में. Why did you release Bitta Karate from jail in 2008?
I would like to come in. I would like to come in.
Jail in 2006? Why did you not ban the JKAP? It is the Modi government which banned JKAP. It is the Modi government which re-arrested Yasin Malik. It is the Modi government which re-arrested Bitta Karate by slapping terror funding charges against him.
Okay, so they acted eventually, but it took time. Syyed Fasal Kashani.
Okay, two things. The spokesperson of JP said कि अभी मोदी सरकार आई है तो अब काम हो रहा है. So she means कि अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी की सरकार नाकामी तो किया नहीं.
अरे आप पहले मनमोहन सिंह की सरकार के बारे में बात करिए.
जवाब नहीं है.
राजीव गांधी की सरकार के बारे में बात करिए.
You were in power in Jammu and Kashmir from 2015.
Rajiv Gandhi was
Nothing.
the Prime Minister. Farooq Abdullah was the Chief Minister. The CPO block happened when Farooq Abdullah was the Chief Minister. Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister. So stop pointing fingers at the BJP. Rajiv Gandhi ki baat karo.
Okay, so here each party says, look at the other, they could have done much more, especially when it came to a murder of a large number of people who were hounded in this fashion. Lalit Ambardar.
Ma'am, 2 points I want to make. Number one, we are not Kashmiri Hindu, are not sheep of or a flock of sheep that today you decide to throw them out of Kashmir and today and tomorrow you send them back. Please understand, we have resisted Kashmir Jihad in exile for the past 32 years. We refuse to be used as guinea pigs in India's continued secular experimentations in Kashmir. I'm not going back to these people who are in denial. Instead of feeling ashamed of what they did to their neighbors, they still continue this whataboutery. Number one. Number two, comes acknowledgement that Kashmiri Hindus suffered genocide. You don't expect every individual family to the cases of their kith and kin who are murdered. It's not possible. It won't even finish within like 50 years. Now you have to put up a tribunal, investigate the cases as a whole bunch, not individual cases. You mean today, tomorrow we'll have Sarra, but father or mother, whoever is left in the family, will pursue her case. Girja Tikkoo's case will be taken up separately. It doesn't happen this way. And thirdly, when you acknowledge this is a genocide, you will not be pushing us back to the Seri villages, very towns from where our elders and the families were hounded out. It's called Rifaul Ma. It's a crime as per the UN Convention on Genocide. We will be going back to our Panun Kashmir, where Government of India, the central government, will be responsible for Kashmiri Hindus' safety, security, political and economic empowerment. I'm not going back to the very neighborhoods which do not exist anymore. They close their doors and on us when the jihadists with the AK-47 rifle in their hands were hounding out Kashmiri Hindus. It's not possible there. And you see this denial in these people who claim to be Kashmiris. Can you imagine this? They are now defending Bitta Karate. They were defending. I regret that Osama bin Laden of Kashmir, that Syed Ali Shah Gilani, he died a natural death. He should have died rot in a jail. These people called him Bab. Bab in Kashmiri, you know what it means? Father or the beloved. That's the community it has become. That's not, I mean, when I say lakhs of Kashmiri Muslims used to be on the roads, in the mosque, shouting slogans against Kashmiri Hindus. Every murder.
Absolutely. When you're talking about rehabilitation, I think the most important point has been made here by Lalit Ambardar, that a community is not like a suitcase to say that we will take them here or we will send them there or they'll be made to live there. That is a larger process and it cannot be completed till the time there is a wholesome addressing of the issue through a tribunal. But for starters, now that this case has started against Bitta Karate, will it be put on fast track to ensure that the man pays? Let's hope. Thanks very much, all gentlemen. Sanju Verma for joining me. Thanks for watching.